Welcome to episode number 88 of the Dare to Dream podcast. My name is Vincent Van Patten,
And I'm Gregory Russell Benedict.
and this is a podcast about discovering what is possible when you have the courage to follow your dreams. But I am tuning in from my new apartment in Osaka, Japan. How are you doing?
I am doing great. It would appear you have followed your dreams then if you're now living in Japan for the next year.
This is it, buddy. This is it. We are here officially. It's been a crazy few couple of days. Can't wait to get into it all. But it's been a crazy couple of days for you as well. Why don't we just give us a quick little overview of what the hell just happened?
We're gonna start with me, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of want to start with you just because
Okay.
I'm seeing this beautiful Japanese kitchen behind you. And I think we start there. I mean, you just moved halfway across the world to get away from me, I know.
That's right.
And I want to hear about it. So you're in Japan, you moved there for the next year. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yes. Okay. So I just moved to Osaka, Japan. I believe it's the third biggest city in the country. And I'm going to be teaching English for a year. I have a 3-year visa. So we'll see what happens. But it's crazy, man. It's the borders of Japan are still closed to tourists. So I think I maybe saw one foreigner yesterday and thousands and thousands of people. It's pretty wild just feeling I've never felt like this before. Like it's truly just me discovering, myself, what is possible, and just kind of finding the courage to see what I'm made of. And I wrote just about like, I didn't come here just to really be happy. Like that's not really what the point is of what, we're doing. Happiness, as we like to say, like a friend, uh what's the quote?
Mr. Viktor Frankl.
Mr. Viktor Frankl, happiness comes as a byproduct of pursuing what is meaningful, pursuing your dreams, and of really going for something that's kind of challenging. And so yeah, I came here because I've since I was a kid, I've always had this kind of affinity for Japan, and I can't really explain why. Just the culture, the philosophy, such as wabi sabi, just the imperfection and the beauty of nature, and the culture and the people, the food. It's all just been extremely intriguing to me. And as a travel writer, we came here 3 years ago, and we were in Tokyo, and it hit me that I just wanted to be a travel writer, like just exploring and doing something new every day and kind of seeking the beauty in the mundane of life really gives me more meaning and fulfillment and joy than anything else. It's not like I'm here and I'm like not happy, I'm miserable, but the happy thing, like I'm fired up, I'm inspired. It's just extremely exciting to be here. But obviously there have already been points where I'm just like wondering what the hell I'm doing. And I'm just feeling, I'm alone and feeling like, am I going to go crazy and like not speaking English in my day-to-day life? Or, am I going to just learn from the experience? And I'm sure I'll make friends and everything, but it's, it's been a whirlwind so far. It was about 24 hours straight travel. So the like 11-hour flight to Tokyo, took a 2-hour train journey to the other airport in Tokyo. And then barely made it to the airport. I got there like 40 minutes before my flight. I'm like rushing around, I had to check my bag. And I made the flight from Tokyo to Osaka. That night, I meet with like the real estate agent and like sign the documents and pay and everything. And I'm just delirious and finally make it to my sweet little apartment here. And it's pretty ideal. I'm in a banyo. It's the ward, a banyo. And it's just the last couple of days just been exploring. And I mean, it's amazing about Japan. It's like it's so easy to get around. And that's something that I've always wanted to do, like live in a city where I could just hop on the metro or the train and just zip around the whole town, just explore different neighborhoods and write about, the distinct characteristics. And that's been a lot of fun. And I got a bike. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Wow, you already got a bike.
Got a bike. The Osaka Moonrider. That's what we're calling it.
Wow. You're gonna be
Yeah.
unstoppable out there on the streets with that bike.
Oh yeah. Went out last night for, it was after dinner. I'm like, I'm just gonna take a quick spin. It's after like 3 hours, just I think I circled the entirety of Osaka and was just like with my camera and just taking photos, and it was pretty epic. and it is
Mm.
hot here as well, just like it is in the States. But so it's nice at night riding around. It's a little bit cooler.
Yeah. So it was your birthday 2 days ago. What
Yeah.
what'd you do? What'd you do for your birthday? That was your first day in Japan. It was your birthday, right?
First day in Japan. Yeah, I woke up. I was like, what the heck am I gonna do today? What did I do? I think I went to what did I do in the morning? I think I just wrote, like, I got some stuff out, and then I remember what I did. I got some home goods. I had to just like get the apartment started. And you wake up and you're in like a empty apartment without like the necessities. Have you done that in a while? Where you just
I
don't have like just
oh
basic
yeah.
stuff. It's like, okay, I gotta figure out like what bowls I need, what to put in the like, I need containers to put things in.
You need like
I need
soap and paper towels and
exactly. I
yeah.
need I need towels for the all that good stuff. So I went to uh I think it's Uji is a great store in Japan. They have them in the States too, like UJI. And it's been my kind of my saving grace the last few days, just like things I need. Got decked out, got a nice comforter for my bed, got towels, kitchen stuff, soap, what have you, so forth. It's a very interesting episode so far, just explaining. but yeah, just so I did that and kind of explored downtown Umeda, which is like downtown Osaka, and hung out there, brought my stuff back, kind of got the apartment getting a little bit homier. Um, then I went out in Namba, which is like the kind of entertainment district, just the big lights, and Dotonbori is like the river where it's like when you see the Osaka, you usually see like the Running Man neon sign and like the intense lights and everything. That's Namba. I went out there and had a good time. What did I had nice I got ramen for dinner. That was good. But I went to a bar and pretty much what I've been doing for like food is just like, if a place has people in it and looks relatively comforting, I guess I go in.
It's a great
And
strategy.
yeah, that's all you can really do when you can't understand what anything says. And this bar had like a few people. It looked like kind of warm and nice. Go in there, had a good old time. Bartender. I don't think anybody understood. I kept saying it was my birthday. It's my birthday, but I don't think anybody understood what that meant. And but just like made friends with the bartender, met some people. It was a good time. Took it pretty easy. Had some ramen to cap it off. And then yesterday was Sunday, and yesterday was a big day. I think I went to the ward office to register my address, which was like the Japanese DMV. That was a lot of fun. Uh, and then got a bike. I wanted to do that.
The
Use
Osaka Moonrider.
the Osaka Moonrider, baby. Yeah, it's green and white. And it's pretty sweet.
Wow.
And yeah, that's pretty much yesterday. Just cruised around, did the whole midnight escapade. And today I stepped my first day of training,
Teaching English.
teaching English.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy because like you're just describing what sounds like a normal few days, getting
Yeah.
new goods for the home, getting your towels, but you're halfway across the world by yourself. No one speaks the language. It's crazy.
Dude,
You are
yeah. And
you
I
are crazy.
thank you. Thank you. I remember oh, no, remember. Yesterday I went to was it 2 days ago? It's Tuesday now. On Sunday I went to this awesome museum, like the Naka Makuta or something, like Museum of Art, and it was really cool. Just like this crazy exhibit of just I don't know even how to describe it, but awesome museum. Hung out there. It's quite inspiring. Out front, I wrote a story about it, but there's this like cat who's the the uh the guide for travelers, like the what's it called? The overseer, the
The mascot.
no, it's like Saint Christopher is like the not this the guy protector, if you will, protector for travelers. We'll call it that. And at the moment, it was kind of a low point for me. I was like, it was a long day. It was hot. I was walking a lot, and I was just like, it was the point where I was just kind of questioning things like, how am I gonna just do every day where I'm just not talking to people and just in my own head and stuff. And then I did the museum. It was cool inside and like had a great time. And the cat out front, like I read the plaque and it fired me up. So apparently it's called the ship's cat. And this one is like it's very futuristic and like has like cool space armor on and stuff. But it's a homage to the ship's cat back in the Age of Discovery, who would like go on ships with sailors and kind of comfort them and get rid of pests. So it was like the I don't know what the word is, but I'm looking for the overseer of travelers, the spirit guide, if you will. And this is like it's what I need. It's basically like the cat, it's looking out towards the river because the river is like the vein which conveys like the art, the world, the ocean. That's kind of the message behind this. And then it's also like a spirit guide for travelers, for guidance. It wears the armor to protect itself in a chaotic and unpredictable world, but it's courageous and it goes out there and it sees what it's made of. And at
Mm.
that moment, I needed to read that and it fired me up.
So the next time I come visit you in Japan, you're gonna be a crazy old cat man.
Catman. You don't hear a lot about Catman. It's always Catwoman. I'm
Always
gonna be a
sleeping on
Catman.
Catman, yeah.
Catman. But yeah, that's been the last few days. It's been quite the transition. Getting everything settled, but we're having fun. And basically what I was talking to you about is just figuring out how I'm gonna juggle everything, like writing every day, starting my book. It's been a bit of a daunting endeavor. I'm trying to figure out when I'm gonna be doing that, podcast and work, and going to the gym too, like working out. Like, how am I gonna fit that in? But great problems to have.
Yeah.
I'm busy and it's exciting and inspired and I want to learn Japanese too. So that's gonna be yeah.
What's coming to mind when you're saying great problems to have? I think it was Richard Feynman, if I'm saying his name correct. He talked about having 12 problems. You want to keep your favorite 12 problems in your mind at all times.
Oh
And every
wow.
time you come across new information, you meet a new person, you just quickly ask yourself, like, does this new puzzle piece fit into one of my 12 problems that I have? And that's how you make these crazy connections or breakthroughs of where you'll learn something and it'll suddenly fit perfectly into one of your favorite 12 problems that you have going on in your
Mm,
mind. Just constantly keeping those front of mind so you recognize and you almost like attract the information you need.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like what is the Mark Manson book?
the subtle art.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not giving a fuck. It's pretty much you gotta decide what you're gonna give your attention to. And to me, it's like, the cat thing probably wouldn't really impact somebody else who like didn't need it too much. It's just a cool thing at the front of the museum. But literally it was like it's exactly what I needed to read and see. And like as a writer, it inspired me. And it's there's always things that are coming into our lives that can, take from our energy or give to it. And it's pretty cool to kind of have a focus, and everything I'm doing is kind of funneling towards the direction of creating and, accomplishing these things that we want to do.
Yeah. And you're just out there in the unknown, getting uncomfortable.
Big time. Big time.
I love that.
Yeah, bud. So should we dive into your weekend?
My debacle.
The
Yeah, I
pain
think
cave?
so. I think it's time. So, where to begin? The past 48 hours of my life have been some of the hardest, most challenging, and darkest hours I think of my entire life. I
Wow.
Yeah, we'll just start right at the beginning. So, Friday night, I guess Saturday morning at 2 a.m., I set out in the darkness to run an ultramarathon. The plan was to run 50 miles from Oceanside all the way down to Point Loma, and I was doing it with two other guys. So we got dropped off at 2 a.m. about 6 miles inland of Oceanside, ran the 6 miles to the coast, and then we were just on the coast all the way down to Point Loma. And there were highs and there were lows. It We all ended up finishing, but it was the most physically painful experience I've ever been through. And I mean, so I'd walked 50 miles before and I thought it would
Yeah.
be somewhat comparable, but running is just so much harder. And we ended up walking a lot near the end
Hmm.
just because we couldn't run anymore. But we ran about the first marathon, so the first like 26 miles. And when we stopped in Del Mar at our halfway point, our legs were just broken. just so beat
Dude,
up, so shot. I felt like my calves were gonna explode.
that's insane. I ran 5 miles like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I was pushing myself. Like it was the biggest, yeah, it's the most I've ran in years, and it was a huge feat. You did that times 10.
It was nuts. It was really cool starting. So we started at 2 a.m. It was a last minute decision. We were going to start at 6 a.m., but we had a heat wave in San Diego and it was going to be 90 degrees on the coast. And so we were like, man, if we don't start early, like we're going to be running in 90-degree heat for 12 hours. We're going to die. So we started at 2 a.m. and we were just on the coast at night, like running through the fog. It was so cool. We saw so many strange things. There are a lot of weirdos out in the middle of the night.
I'm one
We
of them.
saw, yeah, I
I'm
didn't
usually
see
one
you.
of them.
I think my two favorite interactions were one, there's this car. So we saw very few cars. We were running pretty much in the middle of the road because it was nighttime and we had headlamps. We felt pretty safe about that. And as you get close to the edges of the roads are all like inclined. So that's why we'll get into this, but that's why my right knee quit on me later in the race
Oh boy.
because there's a slight incline and it was just getting beat up.
Let's just make it clear. It was no official race here. It was just you and two guys. It's not like it was an official ultra marathon.
That
You
is,
guys
thank you.
just set out for a 50 miler,
Yeah, it's good
which is
clarification. It was
yes,
an unsupported ultra marathon, meaning there was no aid stations, there was no one coming to save us if we
no
didn't make it.
medal.
No medal, yeah. It was just purely we wanted to see if we could do it. It was something that we wanted to check off the list. And although I never want to run again any distance, I smile when I think about the fact that I can say I've never run a marathon, but I've run an ultra marathon.
Is this the one you've been like, not training hard, but like talking about a little bit?
Yeah, maybe
Well, I'm
talking
pretty
about it a bit with you.
I'm sure you are training hard, but
The
as you
furthest
do.
distance I had ran before this was 8 miles, which is really poor training. I was busy and I should have made time for it. I will never attempt another physical challenge like this without training.
Mhm.
I think I used all of my 9 lives in getting through this unscathed. And I mean, I say unscathed. Today's the first day I've been able to walk. The first day and a half I was hobbling around like a pirate. But so getting back to the people we saw in the middle of the night, there's this car that just randomly is driving and pulls over like on the side of PCH or 101 and just drops two people off and then drives away. And the two people that it dropped off, one of this guy is like the highest I've ever seen a human being. And he just looks at us running and he just goes, "You guys want to do karate?" We're just like, "What?" Like, "No, we're good," and just keep running. And then we run about 2 miles down the road and we see up in front of us a car on the side of the road with its hazard lights on. And there's a guy lying face down in the prone position with his legs like up behind him. And it looked
Like a
like he was,
scorpion.
yeah, it looked like he was hogtied. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? Is this guy hogtied? And we come up behind him. It's just some dude on his yoga mat, just doing like a deep stretch. He just like
Wow.
waves to us, like puts his yoga mat away and like takes
Speaking of
off running in the
stretch.
other direction on like a casual like 3 a.m. run.
Wow.
So
Fascinating.
that was a highlight, seeing some strange people. And then things were pretty good until about mile 36. We were coming down the other side of Torrey Pines down to Scripps. It was like a pretty steep downhill.
Yeah.
And like I said, because of that incline, my right knee was really hurting. Both Josh and I, our right knees were cooked.
Oh, boy.
And I had a moment where my right knee just kind of buckled. And at that moment, both my calves decided to cramp at the same time. And so I legitimately couldn't move or walk. I just kind of had to sit there for a moment and question my entire life.
You had a backpack of like, peanut butters and such, right?
I was wearing a hydration vest, which had 1.5 liters of water in the back. And then, yeah, we were eating like goo packets. They make these like little energy waffles that are all disgusting. They all taste terrible, but we were like
Energy
forcing
waffle sounds
ourselves to
pretty
eat
good.
them. It's not as good as you might think.
I could go for an energy waffle
It
right about
was
now.
it was we had to force ourselves to eat it. The highlight of my food was I ate an Uncrustables. It's one of those like,
Ooh, oh yeah.
PB and J thing without the crust, hence the name. That was at our halfway point in Del Mar. We spent like it was supposed to be a 10-minute break. It was probably like a 25-minute break because we were just
Buddy, that's all
questioning.
right with me.
But yeah, that was the closest I've ever been to quitting one of these challenges, was when just like physically my body kind of gave up.
Yeah.
And as I was sitting there, I was like, if I quit right now, when I get home, I'm gonna have to shave my mustache because
You did it
let me
for a
explain.
different reason.
For a different reason. I was like, if I quit, I have to shave my mustache. Like I don't deserve to have this level of power on my upper lip. And it was that thought. This is how strange my mind works. It was that thought that kept me going. I was like, I just got to do it. Just one foot in front of the other. Like we can make it. I started walking and stretched out my calves a bit, and it was good. And so Vinny's response here is that I currently don't have a mustache,
Right.
and we'll kind of jump around here. We ended up finishing the race. Billy finished first. He was about 30 minutes ahead of me. Then I finished, and then Josh was about 30 minutes behind me. We had about 6 miles left. Josh and I were together the whole time, and he had to lay down in a park for a little bit. And I was like, if I stop here, I'm not gonna make it. So I
Were we
left
running
him.
at this point or walking?
Oh, it was, I'd say the last 15 miles we're all walking. Like we could
Okay.
we could barely move.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
It was brutal. Just like walking, we walked through PB and like Mission Beach, just in like the heat of the day, and everyone's out partying and drinking, and we're just like sweaty and covered in zinc sunscreen, wearing backpacks.
Classic.
Um, so
Sounds
anyways,
pretty standard.
we finished the race. Everything hurts, and I come back to my house that night, and I need sleep more than anything. I'd slept 3 hours the night before the race, and then obviously I was awake for almost a full day. And because of the heat wave, it was about 95 degrees in my room. So I'm lying in bed trying to go to sleep. And this is where I think the universe has a sense of humor, because out of all the nights I need sleep, like in my whole life, this might have been one of the nights I needed it the most. And it's so hot I can't sleep. I'm upside down in my bed with my face just like an inch away from the fan. And at about 2 a.m., where I live in San Diego gets hit with a hurricane slash flash flood. I've never heard of this happening in San Diego, but it starts thundering and lightning and raining, and there's wind that's so aggressive that it rips the screen off my window. It essentially breaks the screen, rips a bunch of my curtains off, and rain starts pouring into my bed in the middle of the night. And I'm here. I can't walk at this point. So I'm like trying to crawl out of my room, soaking,
Smites me.
getting soaked by the rain outside, and like doors are slamming. I thought our house was gonna fall down. It was terrifying.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and so yeah, that was the night after the race. So I got no sleep. I was so sore the next day. My Whoop recovery strap told me I was 1% recovered out of 100.
It's just
And
shattered.
I spent the whole next day trying to get a portable AC unit, but because there's a heat wave, they're sold out everywhere. I drove like 30 minutes to a Home Depot who said they had them, and I got there and they told me they had sold out 5 minutes ago. So this is where me not having a mustache comes in.
Oh God.
I drove home and had a full-on Britney Spears meltdown. I thought about shaving my head, and I was like, I can't shave my head. I don't have the equipment.
Why would you shave your head?
So I just shaved my mustache instead.
Just because of the heat, or just
I
to
was
punish yourself
I
for
was I was so sleep deprived. I was so tired. Uh
that
I
you
thought,
decided to,
yeah, I don't really know. It was hot. I needed to change something. I was so defeated. So yeah, I no longer have a mustache.
oh, bud, that's a fascinating conclusion.
It was, yeah, so it's like I said, it's been an interesting 48 hours, but I stayed
Wow.
I stayed at a friend's house last night who has AC, and then today I managed to buy a used AC unit off OfferUp. So
It's working.
things are looking up.
Jesus. So is it it's Monday, right?
It is, yeah, it's Monday right now.
Labor Day?
Monday evening. Yeah, my Labor Day weekend was probably the worst Labor Day weekend in US history.
Wow. That is insanity, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let me just be the first to say.
I'm still questioning everything, like why I did this, why I didn't train, and I don't have the answer, but
Yeah.
there is something special about looking failure in the face and just being so close to quitting and not quitting. Like I do feel I do feel like I can do anything, and also at the same time, I realized that there's no way I could run a 100-mile marathon, ultra marathon. Or I was just listening to a podcast. This woman named Courtney, who's like a school teacher, was on Joe Rogan. She won the Moab 238. It's a 238-mile ultra marathon, and she ran it in 58 hours.
Good grief.
So
Isn't that like Goggins does? He does like the 3 day, I don't know how many miles he does, but like the Hawaiian one, where you run through
yeah,
like jungles and stuff.
yeah, that one's only 100 miles. So this is way gnarlier.
Dang.
So Cameron Haynes is a big ultra marathon guy, and I know Cameron Haynes ran this Moab 238, and I'm sure Goggins has done it. But it just goes to show, like, this woman beat the second place person by 10 hours, and dude, humans are insane. Like,
That
the
is
amount of
another type of animal.
suffering that the human body is capable of is fascinating.
Yeah, that's true. What did you eat? I mean, I just want to know what you ate
Yeah.
after.
So, well, what did I eat after?
What was did you have like a
Pizza.
celebratory? Good.
Yeah, it was Lucadia pizza, a lot of
Ooh,
pizza. It was quite the sight. So Josh, Billy, and I were eating, and we all
crying.
were experiencing this thing where, like, we all kind of had fevers where, like, we'd be really cold at one moment, and then we'd be sweating the next moment, and then, we'd be sweating and cold at the same time. So it was an interesting
Give
time.
me a seat at that table.
Yeah, you didn't
Oh
miss
man.
much. You didn't miss
Oh
much.
jeez. Wow. Why? So we're both out of our comfort zone here in different ways. What do you think we're doing it for? What is like you? I mean, I'm sure we'll look back and probably you specifically, and just the meaning will arise from it. But any immediate takeaways of like, why do you think you wanted to do this in the first place?
It's a great question. One of the things that I was telling people and myself before it is, there's not many days that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, guaranteed. But every time I've done one of these really hard challenges, like, I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
It's essentially guaranteeing that you're going to solidify this experience for the rest of your life. And if you do it with friends, like, even though it sucks, it's really, really meaningful. And you build a bond with the people you do it with. So that's definitely part of the allure. But I think the main thing is, I'm really motivated by regret, or I guess the fear of regret. And I've always known that I wanted to do an ultra marathon. And now I know that when I'm old and I'm lying on my deathbed, I'm never going to wonder, could I do it? Could I run an ultra marathon? I got it out of the way. And it seems like a really crazy reason to do something. But now I have peace of mind that it's never going to be something I'm worried about not doing. And I just wanted to know if I could do it.
Hmm. Wow. Couldn't have that really opened up the door. Couldn't have been a better answer. 'Cause that's same, that's why I'm here as well. I couldn't have gone my whole life wondering if I could have moved to Japan, if I would have enjoyed it, if I would have, it's something I always questioned. I always wanted to do. And like just from the first few days already, it's like being here, knowing I'm living here is so much different than just, being here like when we were here for vacation, going to the ward office and like, getting my documents all settled in my resident card and everything. It's like, it's just a different sort of beast. Like not going out drinking every night and like having fun, but like actually thinking about how I'm gonna like where am I gonna eat healthy meals and like how am I gonna start cooking and stuff. And just like living in a place obviously is much different just than just traveling. And it's just a challenge. It's a worthwhile challenge, and like so much beauty and meaning and enjoyment and happiness will and has already come from that challenge. And like every day I'm already feeling myself growing and getting more used to it and just more accustomed. And like my neighborhood, just in the first few days, like I was so turned around, like constantly looking at the map, but like now I'm starting to understand it a little bit. I got the bike and figuring out the neighborhood and the different like districts, and it's all coming together slowly but surely. And I haven't even started the job yet, so that's just going to be another fascinating curve and experience. And I think it is just about. I was watching a really interesting Jordan Peterson on I forget the guy's name, but it's like how to be a, I don't know, entrepreneur. So I'll put it in the show notes, but it's pretty much like don't lie to yourself. Like being truthful in who you are to other people, to yourself, to the world will set you on the adventure of your life. Like if you're constantly putting up this persona of, um, and hopefully this relates to what we're talking about somehow, but if you're putting up a persona of like, this is what I'm expected to be, this is what I should be, and it's a lie to yourself to put up that persona and go through with that because then you become that persona instead of like who you truly are. And that is, it's dangerous. And, but it's interesting. He was saying we need a persona because you can't walk into a bank and tell the bank teller exactly what's on your mind and like, what you're struggling with and who you are, your dreams and everything. You have to be this type of person that they expect. And same thing goes for them. But when it actually matters, you have to tell yourself, like, what do I truly care about? Something else that pertains to this is go where you're being called. I think it was Jay Shetty post on Instagram, but it hit me. It was like, if you're being called to a place, to a person, to a thing, and hopefully these things are positive, but you're going to regret and live with that regret if you don't, go through with that. And I think regret is like it's extremely powerful on both of us. I think that's why we're doing exactly what we're doing and going through difficult things because we know that is the best way to grow. And we just can't look back and be like, I never took a shot.
Yeah. And maybe there's a more positive spin to put on it of like
I think so. Yeah.
do the things in life that you know you couldn't live not doing. Like you couldn't live
Yes,
with yourself if you
exactly.
never moved to Japan.
It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh, I have to do it just so I won't look back and like beat myself up. It's like, this thing will be awesome. And I was thinking about this like yesterday. It's not so much that I'm here just so I won't regret things or I just want like a worthwhile challenge. It's because it's gonna be an awesome experience. Like in the moment, that's the point of it. It's not like looking back is the point of it. It's right now being in this apartment in Osaka, doing our first podcast together. Like this is a day that we'll always remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. I'm starting my first day of my job today. We're doing the podcast. I had a lot of uh resistance this morning to even do this podcast because I just thought didn't have time. Like I have things to figure out before work. But I'm like, no, gotta do it. This is why I'm here. Do the thing. And it's already like very happy, buddy.
I love that. Wow, you just said something. I was going through my notes app before the ultra marathon, like completely unrelated, but I came across a note that said, "This is why I'm here." And so that's super weird that you just said that, but that's like I feel like that's the essence of finding the reason why you're here and doing those things. And then you said something earlier that really struck me of perspective. I think perspective is everything. You're saying that you being in Japan now is so different because you know you're going to be there for a year. Me
Hmm.
running this race was different than your 5 mile run because I knew that I was going to be running for the next 12 hours. And like it
Yeah.
felt really different. The first, we ran the first 26 miles like so much easier than if the whole race had been 26 miles.
Hmm.
So I don't know how that necessarily maps onto life, but like your perspective of the length, the duration, where you're at, why you're here is super important.
Yeah. 100%. It just makes me think of just like running when I tell myself like I usually start with a 10-minute cardio just workout with whatever working I'm doing. And if I just say like it's 10 minutes of running, by minute 8 I'm like ready to be done and I'm like starting to like get a little tired. But if I'm like I'm gonna run for 30 minutes, 10 minutes goes by in like the blink of an eye. And I don't know how that pertains either, but there's something here that's coming out of the woodworks, of perspective of, I mean, maybe just having a bigger perspective of life, like taking it seriously. Like this is important. This is my life, and I should do the things that I actually want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bigger perspective, kind of zoom out, realize, well, in one sense, there is more time than we actually think to do the things we want to do. And if you take that perspective, it's like all you got to do is start small. And it helps me just with the book. It's like all I got to do, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, is like all I got to do is start the thing. And that's like the hardest part.
Yeah.
And I just got to do like one page, one paragraph, and I know the floodgates will open. But
You just got to write that one chapter that's going to be all about me.
it's the Greg chapter.
It's
That's the
the
opener.
that's the opener.
Chapter 1. Well, his name was Greg. We met as freshmen. That's that.
I
Well,
think
bud,
to tie it all up here, I know you got to get to work. I need to turn my AC unit back on because
same.
it's
I'm heating up.
I'm in an oven at the moment. I think that's it right there, is that your perspective of life greatly influences your experience.
For sure.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Boom. So what's the through line? If you have a kind of a more narrow perspective, if you just, well, here's something. Like I could say my perspective is just today, like this is hard right now. Everything is, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I don't know how I'm gonna juggle everything, get it done. But no, zoom out, have a bigger perspective of the whole scheme of it, and just enjoy the present moment. Really just be there and realize that things will work out. It always
Yeah.
takes some time.
And if you zoom out and have a really big perspective, a really big thing you're aiming at, you're able to accomplish incredible feats, like running that first 26 miles without even thinking it's that hard. Whereas if you have a small perspective, each miles 3, 4, 5, are going to be very tough.
I think
So
we got it.
zoom out, baby.
Zoom on out. Zoom on out. Take some chances. Enjoy the moment.
And don't leave your friends and move to Japan because they'll be sad.
They'll be sad. Well, bud, I have 100 photos of you on the wall here, as you can see.
Great.
They're all of you.
Yes, those better all be of me.
Yes. All right, y'all. That is episode 1 from Daring to Dream. Actually, now we're doing it, and we love you all. Bloopers, 88. Oh, we're doing it, but we've been doing it this whole time now, so it's just another step.
All right. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
We'll wrap it up.